I know we're already live, but just to tell you something funny that happened, my friend and I started a live stream and it started counting down from 529. Like it was going on forever. We're like, okay, we need to kill we need to kill this and try again. I don't know why it did that. It was so funny.
I'm glad you didn't do it with me because I don't know if I can count that high.
No, no, not at all. We got it. So we're good now. Um, so basically I just want to introduce my buddy Steven and I. This is the first video that we're live streaming for Eye to Eye. Um, we so the way it works normally is I read the Bible, I come up with a question, I bring it like is it Steven or Steve? Which one do you prefer?
That depends on if you're mad at me. We'll just go with Steve, though.
Okay. So I bring it to Steve and I go, dude, why is this like this? And so he goes, all right, well, give me a day or two to look into it. And then he comes back with some wild stuff, man. But it's interesting, and that's how we're going to do it. I believe we're going to try and do it once a week. We'll see how that works out.
All right.
And let me see if I can't. Let me see if I can't find a question you can't get an answer to. No, I believe you'll get an answer to everyone. So today's question, and I can't remember, was it Elijah or Elijah?
Elisha.
Elisha. Okay. There's a story in the Bible where Elisha raises the mom of a child came to Elisha and said, "Hey, my son died. I need your help." And so Elisha went to the house and he prayed over him. He laid on top of him. I can't remember if he breathed into him or not, or if God did. I can't remember. But what I do recall that stuck out was as he was praying, he waited. The child sneezed 7 times. Yeah, and they literally purposely said that, so I know it meant something. You know, they woulda just said the child sneezed a few times, but no, they said the child sneezed 7 times and then came back to life. So you can pretty much guess what that my question is, what did that mean? What is all that?
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So for you and anybody listening, just go ahead and put the seatbelt on because we're going for a ride on this one.
Well, I'm all buckled in.
Let me give some background because you always need context to understand what it is we're looking at. And the background is this is not far from when Elijah just got taken up in a whirlwind and chariot of fire to heaven and transferred the prophet to Elisha.
Right.
He had his mantle or his cloak that he took. Okay, so that was not far from where we're at right now in this story, a
Right.
little bit before it. So we're starting in Second Kings in case anybody wants to know where in the world we're starting. And that's here's number one. I'm going to show you bits and pieces of themes that keep repeating themselves
Mhm.
and foreshadowing things that happen. And
Okay.
then we're going to connect all those dots to come together and answer that question of 7 sneezes. All
Okay. I'm all excited.
right. So Elijah and Elisha crossed over the river Jordan together right before Elijah was taken up into heaven in the chariot of fire.
Right.
So let's look at that. Crossing over the Jordan, you have one transferring the prophet job to the other. when you cross over the Jordan, it's saying, hey, the former, or that Elijah is now leaving, and here's what's coming. And this is kind of a looking back at leaving Egypt and crossing to Canaan when they parted the Red Sea.
Right.
You have kind of the same theme of this no longer is, and this is what's coming. The old is gone, the new has come.
Mm-hmm.
But in that also is a new life. It always represents a new life. Because from this point on, Elisha, that just received the mantle and cloak from
Right. The
Elijah,
anointing. Right.
is now starting his new life. Because before that, he was just um, an apprentice, if you will,
Right.
of Elijah. Okay, so we have that connection of passing through the water, parting, and now comes the new part. All right, from here, we're going to go to 2 Kings chapter 4, and we see that talking about the mom, the woman. All right, we're going to go and give a little bit of backstory so you can understand what happened. A woman, it says, we're starting at verse 8. One day, Elisha visited Shunem, and a well to do woman living there pressed him to stay and eat a meal. So, this woman from this city of Shunem kept hounding him, if you will, to say, hey, come and eat with us, come and eat with us, come and eat. So he did. She said to her husband, I can see this is a holy man of God who keeps stopping at our place. Well, if I was a holy man of God and people kept inviting me in to take a meal, I would stop too.
Right. Right.
so, so this went on to the point where she now built or had, in addition to her house, an upper room for just him. They built an upper portion of their house just for Elisha, so that when he came into town, when he visited, he had his own separate room.
Right.
All right. I'm establishing that relationship because that's important to the story.
Mm-hmm.
So this went on. And then one day Elisha came to visit there. He went into the upper room to lie down. He said to Gehazi, his servant, call this Shunammite, the woman. He called her, and when she arrived, he said to him, tell her this. You have shown us much hospitality. What can I do to show my appreciation? So you have Elisha asking, what can we do for you, this woman, to show appreciation? It says, do you want me to say something to the king or the commander of the army? She answered, no, I'm happy living as the way I do among my own people. Blue one.
Mm-hmm.
He said, what then is to be done for her? And his servant, Elisha's servant, said, there's one thing. She does not have a son, and her husband is old. Okay, so let's back up here. You have this woman from, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Shunem is in the area what we call today Samaria. Okay, so this
Mm-hmm.
woman is from Samaria, and she takes care of Elijah. Hmm. Do you think Jesus gave a parable about a Samaritan that did good things and took care of somebody? I don't know. Maybe it's called the Good
Yep.
Samaritan.
Yep.
Okay, remember that. So his servant says she doesn't have a son and her husband is old. All right. Where have we heard that before? Maybe Abraham?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. And maybe we could even link it to Mary and Elizabeth, where the angel came and said, "Hey, you're going to have a son." And in these instances, in Abraham and in Mary and Elizabeth, they said, "How can this be?" And the same thing this woman said, "How can this be?" Um, and I'm reading verse 16. He said, "Next year, this same season, you will be holding a son." "No, my lord," she answered, "man of God, don't lie to your servant." But the woman conceived and gave birth to a son that following year, that same season,
Well,
just
there you go.
as Elisha said.
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. Now, like you said, when the child was old enough, he went out one day with his father in the field, and the child said he had a headache and says, "My head hurts." Father put him to the mother, and the child laid on his mother lap until noon, and then the child died. So now the mother went to go seek Elisha to see if he could do something. And she says, all the way down in verse 24, "Saddle the donkey, go as fast as you can, don't slow down." And she set out and came to the man of God on Mount Carmel. Why Mount Carmel? The person that he just replaced, Elijah,
Right.
what happened on Mount Carmel?
The
He called
chariot
down
came down.
called down fire from heaven, and
Oh,
it
oh, yeah.
burnt up the altar, burnt up the sacrifice, burnt up the stones, burnt up
I
everything.
thought that was where he got lifted up. No, that's where he challenged everybody.
Yes,
Yeah, and burned up both offerings.
yes, at Mount Carmel. Okay. So you say, okay, what's so big about that? Well, the reason that happened was so that these pagans would believe in the God Almighty.
Right.
And they did, it said after that. So remember that. It's a very important theme. Everything was done so that they would believe.
Right.
All right. So she came to him and said, "Hey," and this is what it says in verse 27. "When she reached the man of God, she grabbed his feet, and his servant came up to her to push her away. But the man of God said, 'Leave her alone. She is in great distress.' But Adonai has hidden from me what this is." So God hadn't revealed to Elisha what has gone on yet.
Right.
Okay. So off they go. He follows her onto the house. They go. And here we are. Now, I'm in chapter 4, verse 32 is where we're at. "When Elisha reached the house, there the child was dead and laid on the bed. He went in, shut the door on the two of them, and prayed to Adonai." Very important. Then he got up on the bed, lay on top of the child, putting mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, and hands to hands, stretched himself out on the child, and its flesh began to grow warm. We're going to stop right there. Okay. If anybody knows anything about death, after a while, obviously, when lividity sets in, the body gets cold
Hmm.
because the temperature goes down because there's
Right.
nothing. So it says his body began to grow warm.
Right.
So that's the big clue that yes, he's coming back to life. Now, let's go back to why it said eye to eye, mouth to mouth, hand to hand. It is said here in Jewish tradition that that is exactly the way God made man, Adam, come to life. That when God created Adam out of the dust of the ground, and here is the body, and the Bible says he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
Mm-hmm.
But they believe that that's what God did with Adam too, that he actually became one with Adam by putting his face to face, hand to hand, and breathed into his mouth the breath of life.
Mm-hmm.
And this is pretty much what Elisha is reenacting, if you will.
Right. Right. His version. Yeah.
So here's the good part. Here's the part we tuned in for. All right. He began, then the body grew warm. Then this is 35. He went down, walked around in the house a while, went back up and stretched out again on the child. So that's the second time he laid on the child the same way.
Right.
The child sneezed 7 times. Here we go. Then opened his eyes. Elisha called his servant and said, "Call the woman." So he called her. And when she came into him, he said, "Pick up your son." And she fell at his feet. And then she picked up her son and went out. Okay. So there it is. So let's unpack some of this. All right. The first question is, before we even get to the 7 sneezes, why'd he lay on him twice?
Um, I have no idea.
All right. The verses we gave before all that, right? We're going to start connecting the dots. Who who was she? She was from Samaria. Okay. The Jews did not consider the Samaritans
Right.
Jews, even though they were Jewish bloodline.
Right.
And the reason that the Jews in Jerusalem and the religious leaders didn't consider them Jews is because, yes, they did have some, I don't want to say paganistic, but some ways about them that did not coincide with the religious leaders. One
Mm-hmm.
of them being like the woman at the well, when she said, "Our fathers worshipped on this hill, not Jerusalem," because they believed you could worship anywhere you wanted. And that's when Jesus said, "The time is coming, or the doesn't matter where you worship."
Mm-hmm.
So the Samaritans were Jewish, but still had some non-Jewish ways about their beliefs.
Right.
Okay, so she was a Samaritan. Why did he lay on her twice? Let's go back to,
You mean why did he lay on him twice?
yeah, why did Elisha lay on the
Right.
boy twice? Here's the theme that we're going to run with. All right. When Jesus was asked why he's going to this group of people, he said, "I'm going to the Jew first, then the Gentile."
Right.
So the first time was for the Jewish part of the Samaritan. The second part was for the Gentile part of the Samaritan.
Okay.
I'll keep going with it. All right. Because what happened with the woman at the well in Jesus? The woman at the well was Samaritan,
Right.
right? So Jesus was a Jew.
Right.
She was a Samaritan. The Jew first, then the Samaritan. And then what happened with the encounter? She went and told everybody and brought everybody to him.
Right.
And we'll get to that. So the Jew first, then the Gentile. So there's two reasons of why he laid on the boy twice. All right, now we get to the sneeze. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
All right, hold on. The word that's used here in Hebrew is never used again in the Bible. It's the only place in the whole Bible that's used.
The word sneeze
That specific word.
that they translated to
Yes,
sneeze. Okay.
yes.
What is
And
that
it's
word?
and that word is not the it's hard to describe. It's not the medical word for sneeze. It's what it means is a expulsion of you're expelling something, and usually meaning expelling something bad, negative, or death.
Right. Like a dark spirit, like a demon.
Right, right. So he is expelling or getting rid of death and inhaling life.
Mhm.
All right. And that's the only time that's used. And that's the only time in the Bible that anybody has expelled death and inhaled life.
Right.
Because that's why it's the only place it's used, because nobody else has done that.
So why did he do it 7 times?
So seven times, everybody will agree that seven is the biblical holy number.
Oh,
And
yeah. That's right.
because how many days do you have of creation? Seven. How many branches were on the menorah? Seven. How many churches were mentioned in Revelation? Seven.
Heaven. Isn't that the number for God's perfection?
Yes, and the seven is also for completion and life.
That's right. Yeah.
Because at the end of the seventh day of the Feast of Tabernacles, there's a huge celebration of life. At the
Mm,
end of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is for 7 days, on the seventh day, there's a huge celebration of life.
got it.
So on the seventh day, on the seventh time, there's a huge celebration of life. On the seventh sneeze, there's life.
Got it. Okay.
Now, there's only one other person mentioned that has died and been resurrected, and that's Lazarus. But he never sneezed.
Right.
So that's why
Right.
that
He
word's
just he
never
just got called out.
right. That's why that word's never used. So that's the only place in the whole Bible that that word is ever used.
Never anywhere else?
Nope, only right
Wow.
there for that specific word. Now, I'm going to really, really, really blow your mind. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
With what we just said and all the with Adam and the woman at the well, remember Jew first, then Gentile, right?
Mhm.
And you have Samaritan, that is a Jew, but not really. Okay, here we go. Who was the boy?
Her son?
Yes, but we know who he is?
Oh, you mean he grew up to be somebody?
Yes. Wait
I
till you
didn't
know.
I didn't know. I don't know.
Okay, here we go.
I just
I'm
thought he
gonna
was the boy who died and came back to life.
I'm gonna give you, and I'll send this to you. I'm gonna give you two sources of Jewish tradition from rabbis. One is in the Midrash, and it's in the Tanhuma Parachat Vayechi. That's the work or the citing in the Midrash that tells who this person is. The second one is in Zohar, Volume 1, in the Parachat Vayishlach, page 159, subsection B as in boy.
Got it.
So if anybody wants to look that up. All right. What they say is this boy is, I'm drum rolling, Jonah.
That boy is Jonah?
Jonah.
Like
Like
Jonah with
Jonah
the
and the
fish?
whale.
Wait, it was a fish, not a whale.
Fish.
Yeah, like Adam bit an apple. Jonah and the whale. That's the same person.
All right. Let me prove it.
Okay.
We stopped this story about the seven sneezes is in chapter 4, 2 Kings chapter 4.
Right.
All right. If you go 10 more chapters, chapter 14, and you start at verse 23,
Right.
it says, it was in the 15th year of Amaziah, the son of Joash, the king of Judah, that Jehoram, the son of Joash, king of Israel, began to reign in Samaria. He ruled for 41 years. He did what was evil in Adonai's perspective. He did not turn from all the sins. He recovered territory of Israel between the entrance of Hamat and the Sea of Arabah, in keeping with the word of Adonai, God of Israel, which he spoke through his servant
Jonah?
Jonah, the son of Amittai, the prophet from Gat Hefer.
Hmm.
And the
Did
first,
you just learn this today?
couple days ago,
So you didn't know this before?
no.
Oh my gosh. This is crazy.
So wait, it gets better. When you open up the book of Jonah, it says Jonah, the son of this man that was mentioned right here in 2 Kings, uh, son of Amittai, the prophet from Gat Hefer. So
Mhm.
Jonah's father was a prophet as well.
Got it.
All right. And it gives the names of the kings here that was in charge of that specific time, Joash and Jehoram. And when you go back to chapter 4, actually chapter 3 and 2, it mentions those same kings.
It's like a mystery, unraveling a mystery.
So the time frame fits, right?
Yeah, totally.
All right,
15 years later, right? That was
so
15 years different.
let's go further with it. All right. Now, Jonah, we all know, he was a Jew that was told by God to go to the Gentiles. The
Wasn't
Jew
that
first.
Nineveh or something?
Yeah, Nineveh was Assyrian. It was there. That was the Assyrian nation, which is heavily Gentile.
Right. He didn't want to go, right?
Yes, but he was technically a Jew. So Jew first, then the Gentile.
Right.
All right. Now here's the big one. Jonah. Jesus, when he was talking to the religious leaders, and the religious leader says, "Give us a sign. What's a sign that you really are the Messiah?" And he says, "There's only one. There's only one sign. That's the sign of Jonah. Just as Jonah was in the belly of the fish
Right.
3 days, 3 nights, so
Mhm.
shall the Son of Man be in the
In
tomb
the tomb,
three
3
days,
days,
three
3
nights."
nights.
The sign of
Numbers.
Jonah.
Okay. So, let me see if I can narrow this down. So, basically, to answer the one question we started with, the 7 sneezes was basically God's bringing him back to life, and everything God does is perfect. That's why there was 7, because that's the number of perfection.
Yes.
And God doesn't do anything half, you know, half baked. He does above and beyond. So that's why he sneezed 7 times. This whole this whole Jonah thing was a was a pleasant surprise. I never knew that. People are looking it up right now. They're like, "No way." Yeah, wow. That's
Yes.
crazy.
And if you go back to the seven sneezes of perfection, what better way to have this person eventually go to Nineveh? And it said Nineveh believed. After he did preach to them, they believed.
Right.
The Jew first, then the Gentile.
So Jonah had a bigger part in the Bible than we all knew, a lot of
Yes.
us. I'm sure some people still don't know that he was in the Bible 2 times. Wow, that's
Yes.
crazy.
That's why when you go to the book of Jonah, there's not a whole lot to it. But when
Right.
you add this to it, now you know the story of his dad, of his mom, and how Elisha had a whole big part of that. And when he prayed to God, God says, "You know what? I got plans for this."
What is it with you? Every time we talk, I learn something. I love it. I love it.
You,
Okay.
you want a bonus?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm going to go with the Jonah since that's who we're talking about.
right,
When he said, "I ain't going to Nineveh," he went to the port of Joppa and headed for Tarshish. He left from the port of Joppa. Okay.
right,
That same place, that very same place, is where Peter had his vision of the sheet coming down of clean and unclean. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. And he was told to go to Caesarea to the house of Cornelius.
right,
You had a Jew going to a Gentile, and
right.
you had the first Gentile conversion in the New Testament,
Wow.
Cornelius.
Yeah, Peter did not wanna go. He didn't wanna
And
go
here,
either.
from the same place, Joppa, you had Jonah, who is a Jew that eventually made his way to Nineveh, which was Gentile.
Crazy. It's weird how many things tie together and or resemble each other, and you don't realize it, but it's all throughout the Bible like that. That's why you gotta break it down. That's why we do these videos. Wow.
Yes.
Is there any more nuggets? Any more surprises? Or was that all
I'm,
you dug up?
I can't give too much because it won't be digestible.
Okay, and let's leave it at that, and I'll try and come up with another question. Well, I'm sure I will. Um, and then we can possibly meet back next week. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right. And then once again, I appreciate your time always. I,
You can undo the seatbelt now. The ride's over.
oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, listen, you have a great evening. God bless you. Thank you for your teaching. Um, this was very interesting. Very,
Yes, to say the least.
I'm gonna go tell my wife right now. Crazy. So you take care, my friend, and I will catch up with you next week.
Okay, we'll do it. Thank you.
Thanks again, brother. Bye bye.
All right.